Is field fighting a complete waste of resources? I asked you all in a community poll, and I was absolutely shocked at your responses. So in this video, we're going to cover field control, the role of field fighting, and my goodness, this is possibly one of the more important videos I will make this entire year. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and today we've got to talk about the role of field fighting because I think most of the community for Rise of Kingdoms has a very different perspective on what role that should play and whether or not it's even a waste of resources. Now, P.S., I'm also going to cover some of the updates that went live in the patch just this morning. We'll hit that at the end of the video, and there's always timestamps in my videos, so you can navigate to whatever portion of the video that you'd like. And if you want to get alerts when new content is going live, consider joining my Discord, discord.gg/Chisgule. Now that we've got all the announcements out of the way, let's talk about these poll results. I asked you all this morning, is field fighting a waste of resources? And by the way, if you want to be a participant in my videos, you should totally check to see if I did a community post in the morning, because I've been doing that recently, asking you all a question and then using that as important input to a video that I make. So I asked, is field fighting a waste of resources? 14% of you said, yes, Chisgule, this is a waste of resources, always a waste. Okay, 17% said, yes, this is a waste of resources, but sometimes you need to field fight. 49%, okay, nearly 50% of people said, no, field fighting is not a waste of resources as long as it's based around some objective, like burning a flag. And only 20% of players actually share my understanding of what field fighting is, which is absolutely vital to victory. Whoa. Whoa. If I said that differently, right? 20% of players actually understand, in my opinion, what's actually happening in KVK. So I got to break this down because this is so important. 80% of players do not understand, at least in my eyes, just how important field fighting is to the success of your kingdom in KVK. And at the very base level, everybody, if your opponent runs out of resources and they run out of speed ups, GG, you win. But we need to talk about a term that's really important, and that is field control, okay? And the term field control is something that you don't actually understand until you've experienced it. So I'll show you a video that includes field control. And a part of what motivated me for even making this video in the first place is a term from other games called lane control, okay? These sorts of terms are really important to understanding the game, and, well, let me just jump to the video. This is an experience in my last KVK where I was live streaming, and you can see the enemy has field control. It doesn't matter that they're all over our territory. This was at like 4 a.m. my time, and they had hundreds and hundreds of marches all over the field, and they were building a fort far away from where they had any flags at all, literally in the middle of our territory. How could they do that? Field control. Now, you may say, well, Chisgule, this is, really important as an objective that they're accomplishing in their KVK. And it's true. In this instance, there is overlap between getting field control and accomplishing some major objective. However, just to define this term, field control, it is where you have the ability to influence what an enemy can or cannot do on a certain part of the battlefield. And if you have field control, the enemy cannot burn a flag. You cannot lose ground because you have absolute control over what they can or cannot do. You also can go very offensive, as you see here, where they're building a fort deep in our territory because there's basically nothing we can do about it. This is crucial for winning KVKs. You either have the field, or the enemy has the field, or neither of you has the field. It's a draw. And getting field control from a scenario where you're in a draw or where you don't have it is absolutely crucial to winning KVK. But I will extend that argument to say that if you can drain your enemy on resources, they can no longer get field control. And that the actual battle happening behind the battling is a war on the economy of the other kingdom. And at some point, their economy runs dry on either resources, speed ups, or troops or all of the above. And some number of players at some point have to tap out because they're out of resources and they're out of speed ups. So if you can trade positively against an enemy, it does not matter if it's an objective or not an objective or what the circumstances are. Anytime you are harming the enemy kingdom's economy in a way that either trades positive or if you're infinite on resources, which I'm not, most players aren't, right? We got like Baba who can be infinite on resources. But if you are harming an enemy economy, you are gaining an advantage over time for a long fight that goes to a very bloody and brutal conclusion. Which brings me to an important question. As you can see here, we don't have field control. How do you get field control? There's a couple options for how you can do this. One is simply to have more marches than your opponent does. They had every single player and farm, every 10 farms every player had, every single march. It did not matter how good, bad, or whatever. They were in the field and they were fighting. And this is important. Because if you have more marches than the enemy, you get field control. And at some point, having field control is so powerful that even though I've got max tech for this point in the KVK, I've got, all legendaries, pretty much all maxed out with max equipment practically. Even with all that, I will sometimes struggle to trade positive because I'm completely outnumbered and overwhelmed. It makes a huge difference to have simply more marches on the field. But the other thing you can have is more coordination. These players all moved together. If they had been spread out, I could have picked them off. And that was easy. And you saw me doing that in the start of this clip. But when they move together, it's very difficult to take them out. The other thing that you can have is higher skill players, okay? And higher skill players know how to field fight better. They know how to read what's happening and position better on the battlefield and do all that sort of stuff. And lastly, you can have better tech, better commanders, and better equipment, which definitely helps you get field control, okay? So more marches, more coordination, higher skilled players, and just better marches that are on the field with tech commanders and equipment. These are ways that you can get field control. And you know what? The crazy part is that sometimes you don't even have to have more per se than the enemy. But if you just move in a sudden, unpredictable, and coordinated way, you can force them out of a position and get field control. And if you have field control, you control losing and gaining territory in KVK. And look, like we in our KVK here got knocked out of Kingsland, not because we didn't have troops left, but because we did not have field control. And we could not control whether or not they were burning our flags because we simply did not have enough bodies at that time to do what needed to be done to protect all the different flags that they were burning in all the different locations. If we'd had field control, we could have pushed them off the flags. If we'd had field control, we could have gone in and let the flags that had been burned some amount recover back to full health. If we had had field control, we could have been on the offense rallying their flags. We didn't have field control. Field control determines who wins KVKs. And at the end of the day, I will make the argument that if you can take somebody's resources and speed ups at any point, anywhere, anytime, in a trade positive way, objective or not, that is straight up value for your kingdom. So with all that said, this brings me to a pretty harsh conclusion. And I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm genuinely asking. What is the difference between a T5 account that is only filling flags and rallies and a farm account? And by the way, this is Chisgule from the future clarifying. The farm account also is just filling flags because obviously you're filling flags with your farm account, right? Right? Aren't you training troops on your farm account to use in KVKs? Because that seems really important to me. So we're talking about a farm account that is sending troops to flags. Just to be clear. What's the difference between them? Because let me tell you, the farm account, at least it doesn't influence matchmaking. Whereas that T5 account probably does. And I get that T5s are better than T4s. But at some point, if a T5 account isn't field fighting, I might honestly rather just have a farm. And to be fair, right? Maybe certain people are avoiding field fighting because their device simply cannot handle it, and that's a totally different situation. Very understandable. Hopefully when they release the PC version of the game, that fixes this, right? But I will stand by the argument that there is really not much difference in terms of the value an account brings to the kingdom between a farm account and a T5 account that is only filling flags. There's really like not that much difference. And again, the farm account isn't influencing your matchmaking, so like, which would you rather have? I recognize that in this short video, I may not have convinced you on how important field fighting is. And look, like, I've got my opinion on field fighting, and 80% of Rock players, if my poll is representative of the broader community, which maybe it isn't, feel differently than I did, okay? And that's totally okay. But what I will say, hopefully, is that this video has perhaps convinced you at least a little bit that doing more field fighting will be extremely beneficial to your kingdom. Now, covering the updates that just went live into the game, I'll talk very briefly about what we could find, including a brand new city theme. That Halloween city theme gives you cav defense at the cost of infantry health. I will make the argument here that this is fine if you only care about cavalry, but it sucks to lose infantry health. And if you have some infantry units running around the field at the same time that you have cav units running around the field, this is really not the greatest skin to be using. I also think it looks just okay compared to previous Halloween skins. Like, I get that they wanted something that looked very different than the ones that they had before, but I'm not gonna lie. Like, the original Halloween skin, it's pretty decent. It doesn't have all those glowies, but like, it was pretty cool back in the day. In terms of cosmetics, we found that they've got Lucerne Scrolls Volume 16 already in the game here, even though we're on like Season 14. They've also got this brilliant dome. Did I somehow miss Lucerne Scrolls Volume 12? That feels like an impossibility to me. Is that just mislabeled? Is this actually going to be Volume 15? Is what that's from? Here's 16, here's 15. And then they've got the Bronze Face, which is going to be from a bundle coming up. And also, they've got the Frightful Night from a Ghoulish Gathering bundle. So we know that some bundles are on the way. That's the way this game works. Lastly, they added something that makes it so you can select the type of troop that should be in a garrison, which I think is very interesting and might be pointing to new commanders that are coming into the game, caring a lot about the troop type that's in the garrison. That could be what that is. You can see it's set to infantry in this case. And if you bring infantry, you get the little thumbs up that's like, hey, you're bringing the right troop, which is cool. And then also, if you don't have the right troop, there's the little exclamation point. So it should be easier to find the people who don't have the right troop type. If only it were easier to kick them out of said garrison, that would also be really nice too. A few other cosmetics we can get a look at here. The Golden Sunbird, Lucerne Scrolls Volume 16. The Brilliant Dome, which says it's from Volume 12. The Treasure Bundle is going to give you this pretty wild looking, it's a large looking avatar frame. And then the Halloween Bundle, there it is, Frightful Night. Aha! Here's my Lucerne Scrolls Volume 12 avatar frame. See, I knew it, man. I knew that I had unlocked Volume 12. I think that's Volume 15 down here, man. That's what I think's going on. It's just mislabeled. That's got to be what that is. If you enjoyed this video or found it thought-provoking, consider subscribing and throwing a like onto the video. And if you're looking for some action, some KVK footage that showcases how important field control is, well, I mean, just check out the playlist for my last KVK. The card will be up in the top. You watch the fighting, and you can see, like, if you've got the field, you set the pace for KVK, and you can run your opponent out of resources and speed ups in any way possible. You are getting value for your kingdom, and you are winning the war on the economy. Until next time, everybody, you have fun smashing your enemies.